Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news this Wednesday morning. The DOJ special counsel is trying to block and prevent Jim Jordan from obtaining classified documents relating to the criminal investigation that the federal government or the executive branch is undertaking against Biden. So there's a criminal investigation within the special counsel because of classified documents floating around everywhere, being repackaged and rewritten and summarized by potentially Hunter and everyone around Joe. So this is all over the New York Post, the Daily Mail, public hate Federalist publications that will actually discuss this and investigate this. The issue now is, does the special counsel have the ability to block Jim Jordan? It does not. Especially so the DOJ Garland is saying, well, there's an ongoing investigation. We can't give Congress the information on the classified records that they need. So New York Post: DOJ won't give Representative Jim Jordan info on Biden classified documents probes. NBC News: Justice Department denies GOP requests on buying classified documents. So the reason they're doing that, they're saying, well, gosh, we can't do that, because we already started special counsel. But the special counsel is ultimately beholden to Congress, according to the Supreme Court. So here, this is an article. This is a report, a Congressional Research Service, the special counsel's report. Can Congress get it? And here you have. So this was during the Mueller probe against Trump, which found absolutely nothing. And if this goes to the Supreme Court, because I think they'll impeach Biden way before it'll go to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court will side with Congress. You can't just utilize a special counsel to block Congress from irrelevant information. So it can prosecute or investigate its own probes. You can't just say watch an ongoing. This is when the Federal Bureau of Investigation goes before Congress, and you have Comey or Christopher Wray or anyone else. And they say, yeah, we can't, or McCabe, or we can't tell you because it's an ongoing criminal investigation. We have to protect sources and methods. So what they're doing in a political sense is preventing any discussion or any revelation that could harm politically, their agency or Democrats or their favorite politician. But here, quote, additionally, Congress may seek information stemming from the special counsel investigation through sources other than a special counsel. For example, Congress could seek the special counsel's testimony directly, or Congress could opt to seek documents or testimony from grand jury witnesses themselves. So Jim Jordan could do that. In addition, whereas Rule 6 protects only applicable grand jury materials, executive privilege could apply to broader range of informatica. However, the scope of the privilege is unsettled, especially with respect to law enforcement information. Moreover, even if information is protected, executive privilege is generally qualified and can be surmounted if Congress can show an overriding need for the information. Former President Trump continually lost legal battles to Congress by claiming executive privilege. Okay. I think the same thing would result if Jim Jordan went to the Supreme Court and said, hey, wait a second. They're not giving us, we have our own investigations. These investigations supersede the executive branch investigating itself. Okay. And the special counsel is part of the executive branch. The Department of Justice is part of the executive branch. So I think that the Supreme Court would rule in favor of Jim Jordan, even though I don't even know if it's going to get to that point. I think they're going to initially subpoena individuals. And then if these individuals may be Hunter, or Joe, or people around Hunter and Joe, and they make the case, so Jordan and James Comey are going to make the case for impeachment. And the impeachment is going to be expedited, the more the DOJ blocks or prevents access to relevant information. So now Democrats, like people like Chuck Todd, they're saying, well, how come you're not investigating the politicization of or the weaponization of the government when Trump was in office? The opposite is true. And so he goes to Jim Jordan just the other day and says, well, what about Trump went after Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff? Eric, both of those individuals continually accused Trump of things he never did. So the logic now is, how come you're going after the people who accused Trump of things he never did? How dare you go after you investigate the investigators who routinely used unverified, fabricated information to level the most absurd allegations against Trump and to start government agencies investigating Trump? How dare you do that? When was the last time a Steele dossier was purchased against President Obama or Bill Clinton? Or George W. Bush? It was never that never happened before. So many things that never happened before happened against Trump. And now media is saying, well, it's not fair that you're going after the people who in the most despicable manner went after Trump purely for politics, because they've convinced themselves that all the investigations into Trump were just, oh my goodness, he was a big menace to national security, even though we're now 90 seconds or 60 seconds to midnight. Okay. According to the doomsday clock, okay, we're closer to the end of the planet than ever before. And Biden and Democrats have run the country for the past 2 years. Okay. So that should tell you how important Trump was. And we had record low unemployment and poverty with Trump in 2019. What Democrats did, and I say this with love and respect for everybody, whether you're Democrat, socialist, communist, libertarian Trump supporter like myself, never Trumper, I'm voting for Trump because I want a great economy and a great foreign policy. If you think all the hysteria within among media, the past 7 years was not political and just purely a normal and natural reaction to Donald Trump, well, then, you're sadly mistaken. Brett, former President Trump is not the caricature they make him out to be. He might have a unique personality, but he did good things. And the Doha Agreement is an example of that. The peace deals the reason that he forced Biden's hand into removing Americans, as Americans would still be there. The Doha Agreement was not an example of Biden's foreign policy. We see what's taking place in Europe. That's Biden's foreign policy. And some significant news. Oversight Chair James Comer says he's ready to investigate anyone in business with the Biden's House Oversight Committee. Chairman Representative James Comey said on Monday that he is prepared to investigate, quote, anyone that was in business with the Bidens as the committee prepares to hold its first public hearing relating to its investigation of Joe Biden. Speaking with reporters, Comer said he expects Hunter Biden's bank records to shed light on the Biden family's possible unlawful business practices, quote, anyone that was in business with the Bidens that were on these accounts that were partners in those LLCs. They need to tell everyone exactly what that business was, Comer said. Quote, you got to $3 million wires from this company that's affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party. What service are you providing? Because it wasn't real estate? They weren't manufacturing anything. What were they doing? Comer's remarks come just days after the Treasury Department denied the Oversight Committee's, quote, request to disclose 150 suspicious reports flagged by U.S. banks concerning Biden family business transactions. Comer has already raised questions about Hunter Biden being the recipient of anonymous high-dollar transactions potentially from foreign buyers, and a letter sent to George Burgess, Hunter Biden's New York art dealer. Despite Comer's inquiries, Comer told reporters that he has no plans to bring Hunter Biden, quote, right now we just want the bank records. Comer said. He continues. We're investigating the president. This isn't a Hunter Biden investigation. This is an investigation of the president. Comer criticized the Treasury for failing to comply with the committee's requests for the bank's suspicious activity reports relating to the Biden family. Quote, if they're no big deal, then why won't they let us have access to them? I would find it very surprising that a bank would file a suspicious activity report on the son of a sitting vice president of the United States unless there had been some type of major violation. Comer also highlighted the Biden family's business dealings with China. Quote, this family has made millions of dollars from China. If China or anyone pays you billions of dollars, they expect to get a return on that investment. I don't know what that return was. We want to find out. The Oversight Committee's first hearing on its investigation into the Biden family business dealings is scheduled for February 8. House members will be asked if they denounce socialism. House GOP members will ask all of their colleagues to make their position publicly known on socialism. On January 26, Representative Maria Salazar and House Majority Leader Representative Steve Scalise introduced the House Concurrent Resolution 9 titled Denouncing the Horrors of Socialism. Salazar and Scalise intend to bring the resolution to the House floor for a vote this week. They issued a joint press release announcing the resolution, quote, the district I represent is one that knows the failures of socialism all too well, said Representative Salazar, whose district includes a large population of Cuban exiles. Quote, my constituents understand firsthand the consequences that socialist ideology brought to our continent. Misery, oppression and exile. I am proud to introduce a resolution that makes it clear socialism fails wherever it has been tried, and we don't want it here. Representative Scalise said, quote, "The natural progression of socialist and communist policies is to a totalitarian state that deprives its citizens of basic freedoms and human rights. The American people knows this. They've seen the horrors of communism and the tens of millions killed by the regimes in China, the Soviet Union, North Korea and elsewhere, quote, hundreds of thousands of Russian, Chinese, Cambodians, Koreans, Cubans and Venezuelans have fled from murderous communist dictatorship and illegally resettled here in America. They are a living testament to the barbarity of the socialist regimes and the promise of the American dream. Presently 75 House members including Salazar and Scalise have signed on as supporters of the resolution. The resolution lays out and describes in struct language a litany of violence, repression, and killing imposed by socialist states and nations. RSC asked Biden for answers on expectations of missing budget deadline for third year. Republican study committee members sent a letter to Joe Biden to demand answers on whether his administration plans to submit the presidential budget request to Congress next week, as the country is expected to hit its current debt limit soon. If Biden fails to submit his budget request to Congress on time, this would be the third consecutive year he has done so. The letter, led by RSC Chairman Kevin Hern and RSC Budget and Spending Task Force Chairman and Ben Klein, presses Biden on whether he plans to miss the deadline for the third consecutive year, and why. Quote, "We write to express our concerns regarding reports that your administration may miss a statutory deadline for submitting a presidential budget to Congress for the third year in a row and has no one tends to offer a balanced budget," that group of Republicans wrote. They continue, quote, "As the deadline rapidly approaches for you to submit your presidential budget, we ask that you do your job so that we in Congress can begin ours." According to Title III of the Congressional Budget Act, which establishes a specific timetable for the congressional budget process, the Biden administration is required by law to submit the budget request to Congress by the first Monday in February, which this year lands on February 6. The group wrote, quote, "The urgency of our nation's fiscal crisis is unprecedented. It is imperative that we move quickly to address skyrocketing inflation, a crippling $31.5 trillion in national debt, and the impending solvency of our nation's major trust funds." TikTok CEO to testify before Congress about the app's relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. TikTok CEO Xiao-Jing Cho will testify before the House Energy and Commerce Committee about the video platform's relationship with the Chinese Communist Party, as well as its privacy and data practices. The committee's chairman announced on Monday, quote, "ByteDance-owned TikTok has knowingly allowed the ability for the Chinese Communist Party to access American user data," said Chairwoman Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers. She continues, quote, "Americans deserve to know how these actions impact their privacy and data security, as well as what actions TikTok is taking to keep our kids safe from online and offline harms. Americans have already become increasingly concerned that ByteDance is sharing data from U.S. customers with the Communist Party, and federal and state leaders have responded with efforts to remove the app from government-issued electronic devices during what will be the first congressional committee appearance to will testify, March 23, about TikTok's consumer privacy and data security practices, the platform's impact on kids, and their relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. The committee said members of Congress in December introduced bipartisan legislation to ban the platform over espionage concerns. The app is already banned or restricted on government devices in at least 18 states. Americans name the government and poor leadership as the nation's biggest problem in this poll. A plurality of Americans say the government itself is the biggest problem facing Americans. According to a recent survey, nearly a quarter at 21% of respondents in the latest Gallup poll indicated that the government and poor leadership is the most important problem facing the country today. Inflation came in second with 15%, followed by immigration with 11% and the economy in general with 10%. Approval of Congress came in at an abysmal 21%. Government ranked first among all the nation's problems for both Republicans at 24% and Democrats at 18%. Overall, Republicans and Republican-leaning independents pointed to the government, inflation, immigration and the economy in general as ranking among their top concerns for the country today. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. If you're up for it, I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching.